So Sublime has this really great version of this song. There's one on YouTube that the title of the video is Sublime Live at the Groove Tube, and he plays a couple dubs, and Youth Are Getting Restless is the second one he plays, but I'm going to teach it how to play on the guitar today, a solo guitar version. Those of you who have seen my reggae tutorial videos, you know that I'm kind of basing it off of this thumb and three finger style that I do, where the thumb plays the bass and the three fingers play the chuck sound, which is so essential to reggae music. But in this particular sort of dub that Brad sings over, and I think the Bad Brains have a version of this as well, it's in G minor, which is down here, but there's a reason that I like to play it in A minor, which is that it has to do with the way the guitar is set up. And you know, if you're playing this solo and you don't have a bass player to take the bass part and a guitar player to play the chuck, and you want to just do both at the same time, it works a lot better in A minor. So first things first, the chords I'm going to be using mostly in A minor bar chord up there at the 5th fret. It's kind of a basic bar chord. And the second one is a D minor bar chord at the same position at the 5th fret. It looks something like this. Right, so pointer bar across the 5th fret, middle finger on the B string fret 6, and then ring and pinky on the G and D strings on fret 7. D minor. Right? So if you start there and just play those two chords, I'm going to use my three fingers in the right hand to just kind of pluck on the high strings, and I'm going to get this sound. It's 2 chucks per chord: A minor, D minor, D minor. So you just kind of want to start there. Play the whole bar chord because it helps you play the bass line. So the bass line, like I said, I'm transposing this up to A minor from G minor, but it goes like this: 5, 5, 5, 5 on the E string, 8, 8, still on E, back to 5. So 5, 5, 5, 5, 8, 8, 5. Back to 8 again. Now we're going to switch strings to the A string, play 7, 7, down to the 5th fret of the A string, play fret 5. 2 times. Sounds like this. I've also heard it played like this. Using that 2 or that 9 tone in some other way, but generally I like to just do it like this. That's most of the bass line for the whole song. Now we have to line up the reggae chuck that we're playing with the high fingers, right? Now that A minor bar chord allows your pinky to move up and your ring finger to move up to where it needs to go to hit that bass line. So my left hand can really do all of the jobs that I need to do. When I'm playing that bass line over A minor, I get the A minor chuck sound just by, you know, this bar over here. The D minor chuck sound, I actually have to make a little bit more of a shape with these three fingers. But by the time it gets there, my left hand fingers aren't really playing much of the bass line anymore, so there's time to do both. All right, so bass, D minor. So, as I always mention in these reggae tutorial videos, the left hand is where the muting comes from. by lifting up off the strings without actually leaving the strings, just lifting up enough that they're not touching the fretboard anymore, I get the muted sound that I'm looking for. I'm playing it kind of slow. It goes a little bit faster, at least in the Sublime version of the song. But that's most of how to play it. All right. Now, the bass line actually changes. There's a sort of second movement to it, and it sounds like this, where it starts up at 5, 5/5 on E, down to 3/3, still on the E string, switch to the A string, fret 3 up to 5, back down to 3. So all together. Now the chords don't change. You're still playing this kind of A minor to D minor thing. But it does take a little bit of clever chord inversion in order to be able to play the D minor while this bass line changes, right? Because we were playing D minor up here at fret 5, but that bass line is going to take my left hand down to fret 3. So what do? Well, this is where having some knowledge of chord inversion on the guitar is always really helpful, because although we have D minor here, there's also a version of it down here. All right, these 3 strings, D, G, and B, I can play a D minor triad, and it looks like this. I'm going middle finger onto fret 3 of the D string, pointer finger onto fret 2 of the G string, and ring finger onto fret 3 of the B string. But when I do this, I'm not actually going to use these fingers. I'm going to kind of do it like this. Okay, so my middle finger is not in use for this actual triad. I have the ring finger there on the D string, the pointer finger on G fret 2, and the pinky on B fret 2. And the reason is the middle finger is going to be up doing bass line stuff. So kind of wrap your head around this inversion here. When we play the second movement of the bass line, our A minor is going to look the same, but our D is going to be a lot different. It's going to look a lot more like this with the middle finger moving around. So here's what I mean. Right. We'll start up here, because the beginning of this second movement of the bass line starts with just fret 5 on the E string. Same note, 3 times. Now, where is that A minor chuck? Listen for where it is. That's your 2 A minor tucks. Remember that the chords go 2 times each, right? 1, 2. Then I'm going to come down here, and I'm going to make that D minor chord in the way that I specified, right? So the middle finger is going to play the bass note. The first one you're going to play is fret 3 of the E string. And then you're also going to need it to move to the A string to fret 3. But remember, your chord looks like this. Now, the right hand, these 3 fingers, up until this point, I've been playing my reggae chuck on the high 3 strings. Now, just for this part, I'm going to move these 3 fingers each this direction by 1 string. So now I'm playing D, G, and B. I'm leaving the E string alone for now, because we're not holding anything on the E string that we're going to need. So these 3 fingers have to move. But back from the beginning of the change, here, fret 3 of the E string. There's my chuck. Fret 3 of A. Now what did I do there? I moved this whole shape up to fret 5. Now, I don't actually need to move the whole shape up to 5, but to me it helps keep my fingers in the right place because I could just kind of slide them across the strings. Remember that the bass line goes, which means I got to come up here to 5 for that part, right? But when I'm holding the chord shape, if I just kind of keep it there, move it up, move it back down. Now listen for how I line up the D minor reggae chuck. One more time. All together. One more time. So whether I'm playing the first movement of the bass line or the second one, the chuck stays the same. It's just A minor, D minor, D minor. The bass kind of moves around it. You could listen to the song for where that change happens, but altogether it would sound like this. And that's pretty much what the whole dub sounds like. Like I said, I kind of base the speed and the way this dub moves off of the Sublime version, and there might be some little differences if you listen to the Bad Brains or any of the other reggae musicians that have played this song. I would say start slow. Focus on the mutes. You know, how do you mute the chords to get a strong sort of chuck sound without letting it mess the bass line up too much? You know, remember that reggae is generally played by a band, so when you're doing it for solo guitar, there are some compromises that you have to make. You know, I spend a lot of time listening to reggae and figuring out which bass line chord combinations can work to be played for solo guitar. Not all of them do, but this one works pretty well. Yeah, leave any questions you have in the comments, and good luck.